I was always quite appalled, certainly at university level, of how little most students knew about basic economics. Not talking about, really into it, but how the system should work. And I think a lot of people get fooled by it.
You're right. There is a lot of confusion about how the financial system works. And that's one of the reasons why the book is divided into 3 parts, with the first part being a short history of the financial system. And it's basically set out in order for people who are not well acquainted with finance to follow along and understand what's taken place. And we cover in that section the major changes that have occurred in the financial system. For example, gold used to be a very large part of the financial system, and now gold is virtually not even used as any part of it.
Yes, I mean, I think there's more danger in the system than just the finances. You can't have a whole bunch of your people getting poorer, quite frankly, and against that. And I hate to quote Karl Marx, but he did say on his deathbed, I may be many things, but I'm not a Marxist, because he also said, of course, that capitalism has the seeds of its own destruction. And this is, I think, a very worrying thing.
Well, and this is something that I really tried to point out in the book, and that's why I've called it Perverted, because it was recognized by Lord Keynes back in the 1930s that there was a problem, and the problem with it is basically it's unstable. And that instability was picked up on by my hero, the person that I talk about in the book as a great economist, Hyman Minsky. And basically Hyman Minsky said that not only is it unstable, but he predicted, when he wrote the book in 1986, he predicted what was going to happen in 2008-09. But he did say that the credit excesses are going to create debt that is going to collapse the system. And frankly, governments so far have not solved that. They have simply continued to throw money at the system, hoping that something will catch. And of course, they should have done that back in 08-09. It might have been wiser, but right now we have a very difficult problem to solve.
Governments have got to get more involved than they are now, and I know in the United States that is an enormous problem. Getting that.
Yes, it is. Governments have got a bad reputation as wasters of money. But if you take a look at the amount of money that has been wasted by collapses in markets, by bubbles, and so on, governments haven't been wasting that money. That's been wasted by people who have misallocated the funds as well. And the idea is that governments can't allocate the funds properly, and that's true. The capitalistic system can do that. The market system can do that. And that's what that's the good thing about the market system. It's great for goods. It's not great for financial things. For instance, these supply and demand curves work. If you charge more for things, there will be less people buying them. If you drop the price, there'll be more people buying them. But that's not the way it works in the financial system. They look at what's going up, and they buy more of it in anticipation that's going up even higher. It's got nothing to do with supply and demand. It's got nothing to do with the market system. It's a completely different system.
Well, you also have to have demand, don't you? And which vanished in the 1930s. People have to be able to afford to buy things, so they need a job.
Yes.
And 95% of the people, that's what they're interested in is a job of work.
That's right.
It's
Yes, and there's a lot of talk, a lot of wise people have talked about the possibility of a guaranteed annual income. And that's a problem. That's a problem because basically what you're doing is you're taking money from the productive part of the economy and you're transferring it over to an unproductive part of the economy, the unemployed. But what works even better than a guaranteed annual income is guaranteed employment. And that's the key. And this is Minsky's, one of Minsky's brilliant ideas, and it's so true. I mean, virtually, the government can supply unlimited unemployment for about 2.5% of GDP. And so that's not a very large cost for everyone to have a job, everyone to have money put aside for retirement, and to make it function. It's just a matter of making certain that the people who are working in productive areas, and that can be certainly arranged.
This is where ideology can overcome economics, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very, very much so.